But that's me. Now, as a kid, growing up, going to Catholic school, if I thought of evil in any way, and that's what I'm talking about today is evil. But if I thought of evil at all when I was a kid, it was in terms of Satan. You know, with images of a tree, a snake, an apple, and of course an angry nun chasing you with a ruler. You've been there before, huh? Somewhere along the line, I learned that money was the root of all evil. Well, I didn't know what that meant, but I accepted it. Until a little while later, I learned that that was a misquote. That the actual quote for that is that the love of, oh look, somebody's nodding, somebody's read the Bible, okay. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. And it was written by Paul in a letter to Timothy in the Bible. Now, I have to admit that I really didn't know that. My daughter-in-law had to tell me that. But at any rate, it turns out that even that is not even quite accurate. When I planned to write my first suspense novel, Deadly Denial, I still didn't have a real clear idea of evil. I think I had some fuzzy idea that there were certain kinds of people that were evil, like psychopaths and sociopaths and sadists and anybody who disagreed with me. So, taking that in mind, I had this aha moment, and then I thought, well, I will make my evil character a psychopath. Okay, so I knew that much. So I began researching psychopaths, and I'm also known as sociopaths or people with antisocial personality disorder. And I read Robert Hare's book on the subject, and I learned that only 1% of all psychopaths are serial killers. Now that was very disappointing news. There's not enough psychopaths in the world to account for all the evil in the world. However, in reading his book, I did learn that psychopaths lack empathy. They're manipulative liars. They can be very, very charming, but very, very self-centered. Now, I bet that a lot of you thinking, based on what you just heard me, how I described the psychopath, I'll bet you think that the evil character in my first book was a politician. But I didn't go with the obvious, and I kept searching for a more satisfactory definition of evil. I Googled it, I read a lot of books, and I finally came across Dr. Roy Baumeister's book, Evil, Inside Human Violence and Cruelty. Dr. Baumeister identifies 4 roots of evil and several proximate causes. He describes specific human characteristics that, if not checked by good upbringing, social restraints, or self-control, can lead to problems such as domestic violence, robbery, rape, murder, and can even lead to violence and mayhem of epidemic proportions. After reading his book, I had a pretty clear idea of the behavior traits of just about any kind of evil character that I wanted to invent. And so, I invented Damon. Damon is a handsome and talented man who could have been a legitimate success in life, but instead he chooses to use his talents to make money by harming others. This is an important distinction. The first root of evil that Dr. Baumeister identifies is the love of money or power and the willingness to harm others in order to get it. Now you remember when I first learned that the love of money was the root of all evil, right? No. Baumeister says no. It's okay to love money. It's okay to want to be rich, even filthy rich. It's just not okay to set up a Ponzi scheme and cheat other people out of their money. Well, Damon doesn't set up a Ponzi scheme, but here is what he does. Actually, I'll read you a short section where he brags about his exploits to Lindy. And that is, if I can read this, and also with the microphone. And if I can find the right page. All right. Oh, I'm going to have to put my glasses on. All right. And I'm not going to touch the microphone. Okay. A thought, or was it an impulse, flashed through Lindy's mind. Oh, let me set you up. He, at this point in time, Damon has lured Lindy, his sister, who's the protagonist, out to their parents' house, and they live high up on the hills in Laguna Beach. You've seen some of those houses that are way, way up on the hills. The backyard, there's a very steep drop, and we got to be careful there. A thought, or was it an impulse, flashed through Lindy's mind. She could run through the living room, up to the entry, out to her van, but it would never work. She didn't even know if he had a gun. Reluctantly, she walked toward him and sat in the chair he specified. She checked his attire for any signs that he was carrying a gun. He wore tight jeans, black boots, a dark gray t-shirt. No place for a gun, but that didn't mean he didn't have one stuffed in the back waistband of his jeans. I don't understand, she said. A cool breeze from the ocean gave her a chill, and she crossed her arms for warmth and possibly for protection. She didn't know whether or not to mention that she had visited the winery or that the police were looking for him. She certainly didn't want to give him any more of an incentive to harm her than he already had. I'm sure you don't. You don't understand the big picture at all, he said, but I think you know what I want. She may not know all of what he wanted, but she figured he was mostly interested in the whereabouts of the $3 million she had stashed in safe deposit boxes, but that's not where she wanted to go. It's you that prints the forgeries, right? She hoped to gain time by keeping him talking, and she also hoped to get some answers. He obviously had a plan for bringing her out here to this lonely location, and she had walked right into it. At that moment, she realized that her life was in mortal danger. Impressive, don't you think? He paused, raised his chin a bit so he could look down his nose at her. Considering you had to study for years and years to turn out a halfway decent painting, while I turned out a masterpiece without any training and not much effort. He nodded his head with a smug look on his face. How does that make you feel? In a certain way, he was telling her what he wanted: praise, recognition, flattery. So that's what she gave him. That's what I don't understand. With the kind of talent you have, why do you need to forge others' work? Damon laughed disdainfully. For money, he said, and because I can. While you're working your ass off painting your silly impressions, selling them for $7,000 or $8,000 and giving half of that to the gallery or some dealer, I'm making 10 times that. No, more than that. By selling forgeries, she needed him to feel secure and superior so that she wouldn't expect her to move he wouldn't expect her move when she made it. And while she had no definite plan in mind, she knew she had to defeat him. Her mind spun with possibilities. She might lure Damon out to the edge of the property and somehow push him off the cliff. But if he has a gun, she would need to disarm him. And how could she lure him out to the edge? In an instant, Damon's snarky attitude morphed into sincerity. No, mostly I'm selling the real thing. That's just why I went into real estate. Just as quickly, he became cynical and superior. While you paint watercolors of people's houses to impress them into giving you a listing, I check out high-end pro homes, and when I find a property with a valuable painting, I take a picture of it. Okay, Lindy thought she could see where he was going. You take a picture, then you paint a knockoff on. Oh, you're quick, I'll get to give you that. I take the knockoff, as you call it, into the house, exchange it for the original, and there you have it. The art collector doesn't even know he's been robbed. So that's how Damon makes his money. And if you're an artist and a real estate agent, it's a darn good idea. It is, because that I did research. People really don't know when if their painting has been stolen, if it's been replaced by something. Now, before I go any further, I need to point out that according to Dr. Baumeister, evil is in the eye of the beholder, or in the eye of the victim, I guess you would say here. So does Damon see his act as deplorable? No, he does not. He thinks he's rather clever. If the owner learns that the painting has been stolen, and he'll think it's evil. If he reports it to the police and the media gets a hold of it, some people will think it's evil, but a lot of people won't. In fact, most people won't. Most people don't care if bad things happen to very rich people. One thing you can be sure of, however, if the painting was insured, the insurance company is darn well going to think that this is evil. Now, the second root of evil that Dr. Baumeister recognizes is egotism. An egotist is someone who talks and thinks about himself incessantly, can't see with these glasses on, due to an inflated sense of self-importance. If that ego is harmed in any way, it may produce an aggressive response. In my second book, Deadly Anger, Damon escapes from the psychiatric hospital and he is hell-bent on killing his sister Lindy. And as I said, she's the protagonist or the heroine of the story. Now he wants to kill her because when the parents died, she was made the trustee of their estate. And that means that he did not have control of the assets of the estate, which is why he killed them in the first place. So his motive for killing Lindy is twofold. He wants to kill her so that he can get control of the estate, or the money, and two, because his ego was bruised. He never expected his parents to name her as the trustee of the estate. I'll read you a short section of the book when Damon demonstrates his bruised ego. That's when I have glasses back on. This time he's got her out in an abandoned place up in the Cleveland National Forest, and he's going to kill her. He's talking about another artist at this point in time. Marina LaRoche. Damon stood again and paced the room, delighted to tell Lindy how the stupid woman ridiculed his painting. By that time I was making a fortune with my art, a fortune. He kicked one of the plastic bags, still full of counterfeit money. And her stupid gallery was going out of business. And then a few lines later we see how little remorse he has. And she asks him, well, how did he manage it? He killed her in a boat accident. He says, it was a challenge. I had to get her to take me out on the boat and stage the accident. It felt like I was in one of those thriller movies. I had to dive off the boat at the very last minute and swim ashore. He was very proud of himself for what he's done. When an egotist's self-esteem is bruised or attacked in any way, he's likely to strike out for revenge. So be careful when you come to egotists, do not bruise their ego. Now before I go any further, I need to apologize in advance to all the men in the audience because I refer to the perpetrators of evil as he's. This is partly because I don't want to constantly say he or she when I'm referring to a perpetrator of evil. And it's partly because most perpetrators of evil are men. And if this gives you the idea that testosterone might play a part in evil behavior, well, you'd be right. The third root of evil is idealism. When people believe firmly that they are on the side of good and working to make the world a better place, these people are considered idealists. Now, not all idealists are evil. It's only when noble ideals are used to justify violence that the element of evil creeps in. For example, Hitler believed his efforts would make the world a better place, at least for Aryan Germans. But Hitler is not the only idealist in history whose actions caused violence and death in epidemic proportions, by the way. Stalin, Saddam Hussein, Pol Pot in Cambodia, Genghis Khan are just a few. Actually, there are so many leaders in history whose names would fit in this category that I could go on for 10 or 15 minutes just naming them, but I won't do that. None of the characters in any of my books is an idealist. Might be a good idea to do that sometime, but I haven't done it up to this point. The fourth root of evil that Baumeister talks about is sadism. He points out that sadism is very rare. It is. Most perpetrators of evil, most killers do not actually enjoy their killing. However, Damon does. And I should point out that when I'm creating an evil character for one of my books, I don't have to limit myself to one evil characteristic or trait. No, when it comes to characters, evil character traits, 2 is better than 1, 3 is even better. Take it to 4, and you've got somebody like, I don't want to mention any names. In my second book, Deadly Anger, Damon's sadistic tendencies are revealed. I'll read you a small section from the book when he murders the nurse who helped him escape from the psychiatric hospital. Damon knew it was time. He knew what she wanted. He walked over to the large art supply cabinet, opened the top drawer, and slipped a box knife into his hand. Then he looked at Tilly, tilted his head to the side, a little to the right, and gave her his irresistible smile as he opened a lower, larger drawer and looked inside. She would melt. He knew she would, and she would trust him again. Tilly moved closer. Is that where it is? She sounded more hopeful now and came close enough to look inside the drawer that contains nothing but sheets of watercolor paper, not the $3 million in cash she expected to see. From behind, Damon wrapped his left arm around her waist and pulled her close with such force that it took her breath away. With the box knife in his right hand, he slit her throat from left to right with one swipe. Instinctively, her hands clawed the air for support, but to no avail. He heard her make a gurgling sound and then felt the weight of her body press on his arm as her life evaporated. He let out a huge breath and rocked back and forth with closed eyes. He felt happiness and an intense sexual fulfillment that left him staggering. So you think this guy deserves to get killed in the end? Okay, at this point I'm going to open the discussion because I'm sure that some of you have some ideas on the topic of evil, or you might have some questions for me. But before I do, I want to point out that I did bring a few copies of my book in case one of you want to take some home with you. They're $10 each. Great savings over what you would get at Amazon.com. I want to assure you that they're both very good reads if you like mystery and suspense. When you're done, they make great posters. Yes, Beverly.
With these people, do they have a sexual component that they kind of like get an orgasm after they killed somebody? Like you said the thing that you felt sexual.
It can happen, yes.
But it's not necessarily typical.
Pardon me?
It's not necessarily typical. Some do, some don't.
Some do, some don't. But I think a lot of it is a sexual thing that they get, a sexual feeling that they get. Those that are sadists, you know, there are very few sadists. So most serial killers aren't getting any kind of a kick out of it. But those that do, it is generally sexual. Yes, ma'am.
Do you get scared at all when you're writing these?
I do. I do. One of the things that I find very interesting in writing books is that when I'm writing a scene that scares me, like the one I just read to you, it upsets me. You know, I feel like I've got to calm down. I've got to stop, and I do. I stop for a while and go away, and I may end it for the day, or I may come back a little while later. But yes, and that's one of the things that I like about suspense is that I do like to get scared. Yes, ma'am.
Do you sell more on Kindle or on hardback? And how hard is it to actually get something onto Kindle?
Well, to publish on Amazon, is that what you're asking? It's very easy to get published on Amazon. Really extremely easy. You just simply have to. Are you a writer? Okay. You just simply have to make a PDF file of your work, and then they give you directions. Amazon.com just makes it so easy to actually publish your book. When you come up and if you do come up and you look at these two books, Deadly Denial and Deadly Anger, They're both the same number of words, but Deadly Anger looks like it's smaller. And that's because it's a smaller type and a wider thing on the page. And the benefit of that, I don't know what the benefit of that is. That's just the way I did it, you know. But the graphics are there for you, everything. And once you get your book published on Amazon, you can sell it through Kindle or through Amazon. Or you can go out and give talks like this and sell your book that way. This is the hard way.
Do you
But it's
sell,
more fun. But
does it sell more on the Kindle version or the hardback?
you know, I think probably Kindle, but I can't really be sure because I don't pay that much attention. You'd think you would, but you get to the point where you really don't care. You get these announcements. It's not like someone's handing you a check, you know, or handing you money. You get an email from Amazon telling you that they deposited money in your account. Okay. Yes. I am working on a third book. It's called Deadly Bargain. And it's the last one in this series. Thank God. She's killed enough people. Yes, ma'am.
Who are some of your favorite suspense novels?
I like Tammy Hogue. I like Baldacci. I like, there's so many of them that I like. I can't think of their names right now, but I do like and I do read suspense novels all the time. And then, and other than that, I read nonfiction. It's like if I can't read a murder mystery, I might as well read something. I'll read something scientific or something. Yes, ma'am.
Who's the author who used the alphabet? She's up to Y.
Oh yeah, yeah, Sue Grafton. Yeah, I like her. Right. Yeah, I think she's on Z now. Yes. I guess that's the end of that. She's gonna have to come up with another idea or something, yeah. Hi. Oh, she's going numerical afterwards. Oh, that's okay. Oh, that. Oh my God, that's. It could go on forever then, you know. It's not going to be as clever though. It's not as clever. Yeah. A lot of people ask me where I get my ideas, and so I was trying to think where I got my ideas, because I don't know. So I asked my friend Judy, you know, her husband, he was a writer, where did he get his ideas? And so she told me. I was gonna lie and tell you that was where I got my ideas, but I don't know. They just come to me. And before I wrote mystery stories, I think with Vanessa in the introduction said that my first one was mysteries and fantasy true, and it's true. But basically, most of my life I have written either comedies, plays, musicals, and in fact one of my plays is going to be produced in Pennsylvania next year, which means I'm going to have to get on a plane and actually go there. But I will, but I do like to write comedies, and I do like to write plays, and I've had several plays produced. And but right now I'm writing mysteries. I find that writing, period, just writing, is very beneficial for the brain. You know, it's kind of like use it or lose it. It keeps you thinking. It keeps your mind active. And I think it's very healthy, especially for people who are retired, to do this. Yes, sir?
She mentioned Sue Grafton, and I think over time Sue Grafton has kept her character really in character. Whereas Janet Ivanovich, over the same span of books, got way off track.
Yes.
Is that hard for you to keep on track, or is that why you're stopping at 3?
No, actually, I went to 3 because it's so much easier to, once you know who the characters are. I mean, I know Lindy as well as I know my best friends, she's a part of my life. And to think that I have to, after this book, start a new story. In fact, I've got that plot already working in my mind. I kind of know where I'm going, but I don't know who these people are. I have to create them, and that's not easy. So I think it's easier if you know who your character is to keep going with them, because you know what they're going to do. You don't have to worry about it, and you don't have to go back and think. And look and see what you've done and think, oh my Lord, that's so out of character.